We put a lot of effort into our end-to-end tests for Meadow. When developing in any work tree, you can use the end-to-end agent skill and the scenario skill that will help create new scenarios. When you run the end-to-end skill, it creates one test run that shows up in here in the centralized reporting, regardless of which work tree you're working in. If you look at one of these test runs, you're able to run 45 of these tests within 38 seconds. Digging into the details of one of the test runs, you can see that there's a bunch of categories associated with the test run, and those categories limit the tests that show up down here. There's also a couple different views of the tests. There's thumbnails, which show important waypoints in the tests, and then there's also a videos mode, which plays all of the videos. Let's dig into one test related to publishing. The video shows creating and publishing one Meadow site, and the tooling synchronizes with the video. You can time travel backwards and forwards within this test artifact by using the arrow keys, which take you to the tick points. Ticks are just arbitrarily timed waypoints within the scenario. If you click underneath the video, you can see a list of all of the ticks and important things that happened at those ticks. We also have the concept of snapshot ticks, where we can add a little bit of additional metadata to the tick. Meadow is a local application, and so we store files in the file system in a configuration directory. As you can see here in the ticks, the files tend to change from tick to tick, and we have two distinguishing things here, a T and a G. So if I click on this one, you can see that I'm taken to this tab, and that there are two different sections here. There's the tick section up here, and then there's the Git section down here. The tick shows you what changes from one tick to the next, and Git shows you what the current state of Git is and what changed then. And you can see as we sort of move through the things here, they are similar but slightly different. For example, we don't actually commit until we get to tick number 5 here. If you click here, you see a drop down of all the things that happen within Git at the various ticks, and you can see the same thing up here with everything that happened within just the ticks. This scenario also involves publishing some files to S3. So you can go to the S3 objects thing here, and you can see there's nothing at the start here, but then as we move through the scenarios, as we get to this tick here, 92 objects are published to meadow, which is essentially our S3 in the testing scenario. This little visualization shows when these things happen. For example, you can see it's color-coded, and the colors align with the things that show up in this drop-down here. So you can see exactly when things happen. For example, S3 here is green, and you can see that happens at this point, and at this point, there are changes to the S3 files. And so as we move forward, you can see that, yes, files were introduced here to S3. I also just started adding OTel to these scenarios, and you can see that we have the slowest spans called out. Earlier in the overview, we showed the thumbnails, and you can see here that these thumbnails are snapshotted at these various points here. And they're all aligned with a specific area of the application. So you can see this one says S3, this one says publishing, and this one says deletion. They align with these documentation areas. And if you click one of these, it'll limit the scenarios to those that are associated with that category. So for example, here's a different scenario that we didn't look at before related to deletion.